Welcome to the Daily Globe. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. For over a century, the Panama Canal has been the lifeblood of global maritime trade, shaping economies and geopolitics. But now, a bold new vision is emerging in Central America, a mega canal through Nicaragua, with a staggering $65 billion price tag. This proposed waterway would dwarf Panama's canal, accommodating the world's largest supertankers, vessels too big for Panama, even after its expansion. Nicaragua's government, led by President Daniel Ortega, is seeking investment from China and Russia, aiming to shift regional allegiances and invite new global power dynamics. The canal is more than infrastructure. It's a geopolitical statement, a physical symbol of China's expanding influence in Latin America. Western capitals, especially Washington, are watching with concern as this drama unfolds. Is this the dawn of a new era for global shipping, or a high-stakes gamble, fraught with engineering, environmental, and political risks? The rewards could be transformative, altering economies and shifting the global balance of power. The Nicaraguan Canal is a story of ambition, rivalry, and the relentless pursuit of strategic advantage. Canals have always been more than waterways. They're instruments of power and economic revolution. The Suez Canal reshaped empires and remains a vital choke point for global trade. The Panama Canal, completed in 1914, cemented U.S. dominance and now handles about 6% of world trade. But Panama's success is now its limitation. It's at capacity and vulnerable to drought. This context gives new urgency to the Nicaraguan Canal, an idea centuries old but never realized due to political and engineering challenges. Today, with Panama's bottlenecks and a rising global shipping fleet, the equation has changed. Canals are about control, determining which nations benefit from trade and project power. The renewed push for a Nicaraguan canal is the latest chapter in a long history of strategic competition. The stakes are high. Whoever controls these arteries shapes the future of global commerce. China's interest in a Central American canal is part of its sweeping Belt and Road Initiative, a strategy to reshape global trade and expand its influence. Through the BRI, China has built ports, railways, and bridges worldwide, forging economic and political ties with developing nations. A Nicaraguan canal would be the crown jewel of China's Western Hemisphere ambitions, challenging U.S. influence in its own backyard. China's motivation is clear. As the world's largest exporter, it seeks secure trade routes that bypass U.S.-controlled choke points. Projects like this reduce China's vulnerability and secure its supply chains. Critics warn of debt-trap diplomacy and environmental risks, but many nations find China's investment irresistible. The Nicaraguan Canal is the next most audacious step in China's global infrastructure playbook. It's a move that could reconfigure trade networks and alliances across the Americas. The world is watching to see if this bold vision becomes reality. The Nicaraguan Canal dream has haunted Central America for centuries, but in 2024, President Ortega revived it with a state-led push and overtures to China and Russia. Severe droughts have crippled the Panama Canal, creating costly delays and uncertainty for global shipping. Nicaragua is positioning its canal as the solution, a higher capacity, more reliable alternative. By courting Beijing and Moscow, Ortega is making a bold geopolitical play, seeking economic salvation and political validation. For China, the project offers a strategic foothold in Central America. For Russia, a chance to complicate U.S. strategy. Yet, the project faces immense uncertainty. No major international consortium has committed, and the $65 billion price tag is daunting. Without direct state-backed support from China, analysts doubt its financial viability. The Nicaraguan Canal is a high-stakes gamble, one that could transform the region or remain an unrealized dream. The obstacles ahead are as vast as the canal itself. The proposed Nicaraguan Canal would stretch 445 kilometers, over 5 times the length of Panama's, connecting the Caribbean to the Pacific. The route now avoids Lake Nicaragua, addressing major environmental concerns, and instead passes through Lake Chalitlan. Designed to handle the world's largest ships, the canal would reshape global supply chains for oil, iron ore, and grain. The engineering challenge is unprecedented: massive excavation, seismic risks, and uncertain mechanics. Sea level or lock-based make construction daunting. The government touts economic transformation, jobs, development, and a potential 10% GDP boost during construction. but environmental groups warn of deforestation, water pollution, and displacement of indigenous communities. The canal's promise is shadowed by technical, financial, and ecological risks. Turning this blueprint into reality will require overcoming obstacles on a scale never before attempted in the region. The world's eyes are on Nicaragua as it attempts to build a new maritime superhighway. Success could redefine trade, failure could leave scars that last generations. A Chinese-funded canal in Nicaragua alarms Washington, threatening a century of U.S. dominance in Central America. The Monroe Doctrine and the Panama Canal have long defined America's strategic interests in the region. China's involvement is seen as a direct challenge, offering Beijing leverage over shipping, intelligence, and even naval strategy. U.S. officials warn Latin American nations to guard their sovereignty and consider the long-term implications of Chinese partnerships. For China, a canal in Nicaragua would be a geopolitical triumph, securing trade routes and projecting power far from home. The project puts Nicaragua and its neighbors in a delicate position, balancing the promise of Chinese investment against the risk of U.S. backlash. The canal is now a litmus test for regional allegiances and the future of hemispheric power. Decisions made in Managua, Beijing, and Washington could define the Americas for decades. The stakes are nothing less than the shape of the new world order in the Western Hemisphere. A new canal could revolutionize global trade, slashing shipping times and costs between Asia and the Americas. For supertankers and bulk carriers, bypassing Panama's size limits could mean millions saved per voyage. Nicaragua's government envisions tens of thousands of jobs and a doubling of GDP during construction, with long-term revenue from transit fees and logistics hubs. But the $65 billion cost is a massive hurdle, and the canal must compete with Panama and Suez for traffic. Some economists warn there may not be enough demand for two major Central American canals. Large projects often benefit elites and foreign corporations, with limited gains for ordinary citizens. Displacement of communities and loss of farmland could undermine local economies. The canal's economic impact will depend on careful management and its ability to capture a significant share of world trade. The promise is great, but so are the risks of becoming a costly white elephant. While the Nicaraguan canal grabs headlines, China is quietly building a second path, a transcontinental corridor in South America. The $50 billion strategy includes a deep-water port at Chancay, Peru, now operational, and a proposed railway linking the Pacific to Brazil's Atlantic coast. Chancay can handle the world's largest ships, creating a direct express lane from Asia to South America. The bi-oceanic railway would move goods across the continent, connecting Brazil's resources to Asian markets and Europe. Together, the port and railway form a land-based canal, a powerful competitor to maritime routes. This dual approach shows China's flexibility, pursuing both high-risk and incremental strategies to secure trade and influence. It also shifts regional dynamics, fostering partnerships with Brazil and Peru, and pressuring others to align with China's vision. The South American corridor may prove more achievable than the Nicaraguan canal, but both are reshaping the continent's future. China's two-pronged strategy is forcing Latin America to choose its path. The competition for Chinese investment is transforming the region's political and economic landscape. We stand at a turning point in global trade. The Nicaraguan Canal and South American corridor challenge the century-old dominance of the Panama Canal. Climate change and China's ambition are redrawing the trade map. The question is not if, but how, and by whom, these new routes will be built. The outcome will affect everything from consumer prices to political stability worldwide. For Latin America, the challenge is to harness foreign investment without sacrificing sovereignty or the environment. For the U.S. and its allies, it's time to offer real alternatives, not just warnings. For China, it's a test of global leadership and responsibility. The choices made today will shape the world our children inherit, one of shared prosperity or heightened rivalry. The tide is turning. The world must stay informed to navigate what comes next.